an important tool to keep Americans safe. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. FBI Director Christopher Wray calling for the renewal of a surveillance program.
During an appearance before a House Appropriations Subcommittee, Wray called for congressional renewal of Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, which allows U.S. intelligence to collect emails, phone calls, texts, and more from non-Americans without a warrant. It's due to expire next week.
Section 702 is indispensable in keeping Americans safe from a whole barrage of fast-moving foreign threats.
Wray says without it, U.S. officials will be blind to potential terrorists' plans.
It's what we need to stop them before they kill Americans.
A renewal test vote failed in the House Wednesday. Some feel Section 702 can be used to violate Americans' civil liberties.
Fox's Kevin Ureski. A White House meeting between President Biden and the leaders of Japan and the Philippines as China ramps up military action in the Pacific. The president is saying the U.S. defense support for the Philippines remains ironclad, and the president announced a new partnership.
I'm proud to announce we're launching an economic corridor in the Philippines as part of the G7's Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment.
China has tested its relations with the Philippines with skirmishes involving the two nations' Coast Guard ships in the disputed South China Sea, and Chinese Coast Guard ships have approached disputed Japanese-controlled East China Sea islands near Taiwan. He was one of the greatest NFL players ever, but became infamous after he was accused and acquitted of killing his ex-wife. O.J. Simpson has died.
An amiable Hollywood and TV star, Simpson was inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985, 9 years before he was accused of murdering his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman, in what became known as the trial of the century.
Fox's Jared Max. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why they're preparing. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. Police in Indianapolis are preparing for a potential pro-Palestinian protest next week. Donnie Burgess reports.
Several local pro-Palestine organizers are planning for protests across the country Monday, April 15th, and Indianapolis is one of the cities listed, although Indy Metro Police aren't quite sure if anyone will actually show up. The point of the protest is to put up an economic blockade, which is another way of saying don't do business, as a way to protest U.S. support of Israel. IMPD and Indiana State Police are working together on safety measures. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
But Hoosier author Kurt Vonnegut, known for works like Slaughterhouse-Five and Cat's Cradle, died 17 years ago Thursday. In honor of his life and legacy, the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and Library posted a message to social media, asking followers to share with us what made you think, if this isn't nice, what is, recently. If you enjoy German heritage and beer, the Athenaeum Foundation in Indy is hosting the perfect event for you Saturday evening.
St. Benno Fest is actually the celebration of the spring harvest that brings us those spring beers. It's one of the oldest continually run events in the city of Indianapolis.
That's Craig Mintz, Executive Director of the Athenaeum Foundation, talking to WIBC's Terry Stacy. Get tickets and learn more at athenaeumindy.org/events. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
More scattered rain ahead tonight with lows in the mid-40s with winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour at times. Friday, scatter showers expected for much of the day with highs in the upper 50s. Wind gusts up to 35 to 40 miles per hour. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Steve Indiana from 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and the allergy season is getting a jump start on all of us, and we really need to get ready to fight back. How about having Zero Res help you take on dust and dander and allergens and even bacteria in your carpets with a great spring deal? Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $139 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning to get that true spring cleaning feel. It's unbelievable and kind of scary just how much of the uglies are in our carpets, and it's because those carpets are the largest air filter in the home. The Zero Res service is easy to line up. You can go online at ZeroResIndy.com, do the scheduling at your convenience. And don't forget the ZR water difference. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, leaving things really clean. Now mention WIBC, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning starting at $139, plus you'll get $75 off the air duct cleaning too. Call 317-388-5141 or book things online at ZeroResIndy.com.
JMV here from SM's Home and Garden in Bargersville. Tropicals are here and ready to sell. The nursery is open with new shipments arriving daily. Miss M's is ready to beautify your garden and yard this spring. Enjoy this spring weather and plan a trip to Miss M's on State Road 135 in Bargersville. Flowers, trees, shrubs, mulch, and more. Miss M's in Bargersville has it. State Road 135 in Bargersville, just south of Whiteland Road. Miss M's Home and Garden.com. Follow them on social media for daily updates.
Woodard, Emhart, Henry, Reeves, and Wagner. Over 140 years specializing exclusively in patent, trademark, trade secret, and copyright law and litigation. On the web at uspatent.com.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun, brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
There are 48 million unpaid family caregivers in the United States. Visit aarp.org/caregiving to access a free guide to help navigate your caregiving journey.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel show.
All right, well, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening. Welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. I'm Tony Kinnett with you on 93.1 FM out of Indianapolis, the live streams on Twitter, X, and YouTube, and the podcasts, everywhere else. There is a lot that the left has to lose in this election season, but one thing that analysts a couple of years ago wouldn't have quite pinned as possible is the complete abdication from any kind of support from legal immigrants. Now, legal immigrants are a huge portion of the United States population. There are a multitude of individuals who are either first or second or perhaps third generation immigrants whose parents have come into the United States legally through the United States' admittedly troubled legal immigration system in the last 150 years. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. The left, through the last 30 or 40 years, has had kind of a grip on legal immigrants because they have said that Republicans want to reduce the number of legal immigrants, and so therefore they painted Republicans as the anti-immigration policy. And then the left started dipping more to the left socially with very weird ideas that do not fit the large number of illegal immigrants' social tendencies. For example, a large number of legal immigrants into the United States are Catholic or Christian, and therefore they're not a huge fan of the LGBTQ push, as well as all of the other really weird social stuff the left is pushing. But it is not enough to kind of hold on to the Republicans are bad narrative, because going into this amazingly drawn out 2024 election season, the president of this country, Joe Biden, up for his incumbent round 2 electric boogaloo, has completely deteriorated to the point where he's not really gaining ground on any of the demographics Democrats need to pull this election. And it's becoming more clear by the day that the president is not even able to function in short spurts outside of extremely controlled video environments. And of course, we've seen a lot of disastrous things over the last couple of months. Of course, the horrible presser after the disastrous results of the Robert Hur investigation, in which he found that President Biden should be charged with a federal crime, but in a court of law, he would be too old and feeble. He couldn't even remember when his son had passed away, much less remember facts relevant to a court case. President Biden speaking in ads since then for his reelection, like the Super Bowl ad that was pushed out in lieu of the traditional presidential Super Bowl interview, was cut so many times. It was so jarring because you know that President Biden was not able to sit there and give more than a few words in order coherently. And then the note cards started coming out. Note cards that are so detailed, President Biden can no longer speak in public without them. Of course, his interview with a Spanish media company went a little something like this.
From the very beginning, I used to teach the Second Amendment in law school. From the very beginning, there were limitations. You couldn't own a cannon. You could own a rifle, a gun, but there were certain things you couldn't do. But they weren't weapons of war.
So the President of the United States, again, talking about the time that he guest lectured at the University of Delaware on Saturday mornings. By the way, there's no actual grade transcript from this, meaning that it was likely just kind of like a club that Biden hosted that they have tried to retcon him back as some kind of a professor. And now, look, I released a video about this on Instagram and YouTube. Obviously, individuals could own cannons and weapons of war during the Revolutionary War. In fact, the United States military used to rent cannon and boat from private citizens. It was very fashionable among those who could afford it to either purchase a privateer ship loaded with cannons or steal a ship from the British and claim it as your own. So not only is Biden doddering and unable to speak, but also in international press meetings with, for example, the Prime Minister of Japan, he is getting progressively worse. Here's what that looked like.
Next question. Who do I call on next? Hang on a second. I got my list here.
He has no idea who he's supposed to call on.
I apologize. Aurelia of AFP.
So the president of the United States doesn't even know what reporters are out there. The White House has given him a list of who he's allowed to call on, and he can't even find that list in front of him. He can't read the teleprompter. He can't read note cards. And again, according to additional research that comes out about President Biden, I'm honestly not sure if he's going to maintain the ability to speak at all over the next couple of months. However, this poses a significant problem for the Democrats because right now there are serious issues abroad. And I mean serious issues because the President of the United States is expected to address serious concerns, especially going into times of uncertainty in various policy issues. So first of all, the President needs to address the economy. Whenever there are concerns, it is the President who either comes out and stokes fear or eases the concerns of Americans. And right now, inflation is so rampant due to the massive spending policies of the last couple of years, running those money printers around the clock, that even left-leaning outlets are starting to report on it. The problem is they're not actually bringing Biden out to address those things. They're bringing on cabinet secretary assistants whom we've never seen, or Janet Yellen, who no one trusts, or Karine Jean-Pierre, who is basically the de facto president at this point, to attempt to comfort Americans. And it's not working. Then, of course, there's the immigration situation, and, of course, the national situation on the international stage, in which there are wars on several fronts, and U.S. servicemen are in severe danger. And by the way, President Biden has propped himself up as supposed to be the major presidential figure to bring calm amid this crisis. He was bragging about this in his State of the Union address just a few months ago.
January 1941. Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, "I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time."
So that was his intro to saying that he was doing the exact same thing a couple of decades later. And he hasn't been. He hasn't woken up Congress. He has to be woken up every day at the crack of noon by whatever aides go in to shove Geritol down his throat. There is no situation in which the president is calming Americans down. However, of course, the White House did find time to wish the murderer and disgusting human being O.J. Simpson decided, wish everybody well after he passed away today. Here's what that looked like.
Was there any reaction from the president to O.J. Simpson's death? Do you know if they ever crossed paths? If so, how, when?
So I'll say this: our thoughts are with his families during this difficult time. Obviously, with his family and loved ones. And I'll say this: I know that they have asked for some privacy, and so we're going to respect that. I'll just leave it there.
You know who didn't get privacy? Nicole, the woman that he murdered, or any of the other individuals who had to suffer after O.J. Simpson got off scot-free, although there was incredibly clear evidence that he committed that disgusting murder. And by the way, in case you're wondering what that has to do with President Joe Biden, that was one of the serious events that the Biden administration has been focusing on. This coming on the heels after it was rumored the President of the United States was perhaps finally considering an executive action with the huge crisis at the border, in which we have an entirely overrun series of law enforcement groups: Border Patrol, Immigration, Customs and Enforcement, state police, county police, local officials, because crime is increasing as individuals stream across the border. And now Karine Jean-Pierre, because of course Joe Biden is nowhere to be found, might as well check the local Baskin Robbins. Karine Jean-Pierre says that she can't even name an executive order Biden might take.
No executive action is going to have the full resources that we need to get this done.
Amazing. President Biden can't think of any executive orders. Probably can't even think of his name most of the time. But President Trump certainly had no issues writing executive orders to shut down the southern border. And this brings us to the impending non-trial, I guess, for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Senate Republicans, who do not hold a majority in the Senate, are trying to bring some kind of trial forward for the individual who has openly bragged about keeping the border open for years. And to discuss that, we'll have to dig into why the left is so hell-bent on redefining the term citizen. Stick around. This is the Tony Kinnecast here on 93 WIBC.
Let's talk about the knock on you.
Tony Katz.
COVID comes, the state locks down, you are there right next to Governor Eric Holcomb, and you say nothing.
Gets beyond the talking points.
Let me give you the story about you in case you didn't know this. No one knows who you are, sir.
With the GOP gubernatorial candidates.
You're a nice guy. Literally no one has any idea. How do you overcome that? Can you outspend Mike Braun? Because that's what you're going to have to do to win this thing.
Stream all the videos at WIBC.com.
A sleep divorce happens when bed partners sleep in different rooms because one of them has a snoring problem. It's nothing to be embarrassed about, but it is unfortunate, especially when there are simple, non-surgical solutions that can put snoring problems to bed for good. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where our exclusive focus is the nose and throat, which is exactly where your snoring problem is coming from. If 20 years ago you told me I'd be helping relationships flourish again, I'd have laughed. But in many cases, that is the case. Because helping your bed partner stop snoring so the two of you can get back to sleeping together again can do just that.
Go to adventknows.com today to schedule your appointment and learn more about our effective breathing triangle solutions. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Spring is in the air, and you know what that means. It's time for a fresh start. But it's not just about decluttering around the house or a fresh coat of paint. It's about taking care of the foundation that holds your home together. If you've noticed cracked bricks, basement floor or concrete cracks, floor and wall gaps, bowed basement walls, or cracked chimneys, the experts from Indiana Foundation Service are ready to help. It may seem overwhelming to you, but rest assured, they are experts at identifying and solving all of your home's foundation problems. Indiana Foundation Service's certified field inspectors will come directly to you, and they'll do it soon. They'll explain what's happening, develop a customized plan just for you, and provide you with a no-pressure quote to fix any issues you have. There's no better time to get started. Indiana Foundation Service. There's a reason they are the trusted local experts.
Indiana Foundation Service. Reliability from the ground up.
Are you too busy to exercise and be healthy? Hey, it's Nigel. I felt that way 6 years ago, but then I started training at Exercise Inc. You go once a week for your private 20-minute workout, right? Adopt the 9 simple habits you need to follow to change your health and lose weight. And then enjoy life because you'll be stronger. You have more energy. The program has helped me lose weight. I look better. I feel better. I've had to buy new clothes because they fit different. 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now in Fishers. You show up once a week for your private 20-minute workout. Private studios, no mirrors, no music, and no spandex. Just you and your coach. Feel better. Lose some weight. Probably look better. And you might get off some of those prescription meds. Hey, those 5 locations again: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood. I go to the one in Zionsville, and now there's a new one up in Fishers. ExerciseInc.com today to sign up for a free consultation. ExerciseInc.com. One more time, that website, ExerciseInc.com. Tell them Nigel sent you.
If your leaky chimney is at it again, there's only one place to call. That's Chimney Solutions. Chimney Solutions has over 20 years of experience inspecting, sweeping, and troubleshooting chimney systems. From repairing your masonry to waterproofing to chimney caps, they handle it all with craftsmanship guarantees. The Chimney Solutions team is Chimney Safety Institute of America certified and members of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. Call Chimney Solutions today at 317-757-6979. Online at chimneyindy.com. That's Chimney Solutions.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. To understand why the left is losing, and I mean absolutely destroying themselves by being evacuated in support from all legal immigrant groups in this country from every single origin. To look at that, we have to understand what the left has advocated that become taken away from those individuals. So maybe I should rephrase this differently. Why are individuals who have worked to gain citizenship in the United States, gone through a process, waited on a list, came through a legal port of entry, why are they abandoning a group who wants to give large groups of individuals who took a lot of shortcuts and entered the country illegally citizenship? Well, that's quite honestly a fairly self-explanatory question, because there is something within all of us that does not like to see an individual get something that they do not deserve, especially if they have done something wrong to achieve it. So I'll say that again. Everyone has a bit of an issue with someone getting something that they did not deserve and doing something wrong in the process. And that's the key factor here, because at the beginning of this week, there was an article that was published from the Heritage Foundation, which includes a policy plan that would not allow public school funds to go to the education of students who are illegal immigrants. So individuals who did not come into this country legally would not be able to take public taxpayer funding for public education, that there might be some kind of a charge involved. And there was this moral outrage, this pearl clutching from the left. All of these education academics, including some who I used to be rather friendly with, lost their ever-loving mind and said, oh, this is terrible. Every child deserves the right to an education. Oh, it's horrible. Why can we do this? And it was an interesting conversation because it was a lot of gaslighting. It was a lot of gaslighting because, no, individuals on the right are not saying children need to suffer, never be educated. No, the individuals on the right were simply saying that American citizens have first dibs to the American taxpayer dollar. They have first dibs. American citizens of every color, creed, race, religion, whatever, they have first dibs on American tax dollars. And right now, tax dollars in education are indeed spread thin because we have a lot of expensive programs that don't do too much. And I have been in the classrooms in Indianapolis public schools, and I have visited and audited the classrooms in Chicago public schools and in Minneapolis public schools, areas which are huge immigration key points. And I have found that, first of all, the immigration-centric classrooms in which students who do not speak English are shuffled into classrooms with English-speaking students, with a teacher that does not speak multilingual languages, it puts a lot of stress on American citizen students. And that is a problem. Until we can actually create an environment in which we can handle the number of American citizen students that we already have, with teachers that are competent enough to teach, with standards that are useful to teach, with funds that are spent well instead of willy-nilly on all of this nonsense, we don't have the resources to also educate illegal immigrant children. Because right now, there's a perk. If you just get your kid across the border, they get access to all of this free stuff. And that's not some right-wing political pundit point. There are individuals crossing Mexico right now who are openly telling that to individuals asking them on camera. If we just get across the border, you get access to all of the social welfare. And this is something that legal immigrants have a significant issue with because they had to work to be a part of American society. The idea of a citizen, the idea to be a citizen, what that means is that you pay a price. You have some kind of resource that you are sacrificing to the whole nation state, to the collective society. And in return, you have the honor and the privilege to exercise what's called sovereign franchise. And what that means is you get to vote, and you are also subject to the defense and safety of the country to which you are a citizen of. Because I am a citizen of the United States, I get to exercise sovereign franchise when I vote. And by voting, I get to decide what ways the United States, the state of Indiana, and locally Hancock County uses lethal force in order to uphold certain policies, because that's it. Every single government policy has a gun behind it. That's just the way it is. If you disobey government rules, you get the gun. Every single policy, even if it's a fine, if you don't pay the fine, then the cops come to get you and take you to jail. And what are the cops carrying? Guns. That is the way society works. And that's what citizenship means. You enjoy special rights because you are sacrificing something to the group. And legal immigrants had to demonstrate their commitment to the United States. They had to study a certain number of things. They had to understand basic U.S. civics. They had to make a commitment to be a citizen of the United States, to pay a full list of taxes, not just like sales tax when you go to the convenience store. They had to list themselves for the full set of responsibilities, like draft in a time of war, as well as the full benefits of our emergency services and the defense of our country. And yes, the free education for citizens' children. And immigrants do not enjoy being railroaded like this, but the left does not understand the idea of what citizenship means. They think that being a citizen is a horrible thing because it creates a caste system, you see, and citizens get to enjoy all of these wonderful things, and then there's this lower caste of untouchables who doesn't get access to basic human rights, and everything is a right to the left. For example, Mike Johnson and Donald Trump are promoting this policy right now, which would prevent non-citizens from voting in any federally linked election. Because right now, California and several other liberal governments are allowing illegal immigrants who did not immigrate, who don't just have a green card, but simply exist as a resident there without any kind of approval or leave from the United States to be there. They are allowed to vote in local elections. And so Republicans are heading this one off before it reaches the federal, really the state or the federal level, which is a first for Republicans. And they are saying you are not allowed to vote in the United States in federal elections unless you are a citizen. And the left is coming out, like Mark E. Elias came out and said, oh, this is a stunt. It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. Well, yes, but it's also illegal to cross the border, not at a port of entry, but here we are. And prosecutorial discretion has a lot of room to move around when you don't explicitly state what is and is not allowed in great detail in the law, especially when it comes to federal law. And when you consider the United States as a nation was created with the aim of giving the maximum number of people the sovereign franchise of citizenship, that was not just locked on being a male landowner of a specific religion and a specific denomination of a specific color in a specific county, like many nations before it. But the sovereign franchise is given to all adults in the United States who come here legally and emigrate into the United States or are born here. It's really a low bar. It's a low bar. And you may say, well, but the legal immigration process is a pain and it really needs to be reformed. I agree. The legal immigration process is a mess, and it does need to be reformed. But just because the rules are hard does not mean you get to break them. Just because the road is long and tough doesn't mean you get to cheat. That's not how it works. Because you emigrating to the United States means that you are telling everyone that you are more than happy to abide by the laws of this country. And if your very first action into this country was ignoring a port of entry and having the cartel just drive you up into the middle of nowhere, crossing into the United States, and then giving a fake piece of paper to Immigration Customs Enforcement, who then drop you off at a bus station and we never hear from you again, I don't have a lot of trust or reassurance that you're suddenly going to start following the laws. And you know who else doesn't? The legal immigrants who know exactly where you came from, because that's where they came from, and what it takes to be truly an American citizen. Up next, we're going to be talking about awful tweets with Jerry Lopez, because goodness gracious, are there a lot of them. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Retirement. When you picture your retirement, what do you see? Travel, relaxation, hobbies, more time with the people you love? Or are you met with uncertainty and concern? Whatever emotion the word retirement conjures up for you, Howard Bailey Financial is ready to help. Our financial advisors are not just experts in retirement strategies, they are your partners in crafting a personalized retirement plan that aligns with your dreams and aspirations. At Howard Bailey, we prioritize one thing above all else, your peace of mind. Don't leave your retirement planning to chance. Instead, call 866-482-9559 now to schedule your personal financial review and see how Howard Bailey can help give you confidence in your retirement goals. Again, call 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
I'm Darren Andrews from We Grow Hair Indy, and 18 years ago, I got my hair back.
I'm Rob, and 2 years ago, I got my hair back. Let this be your year to get your hair back and get your confidence back. Go to WeGrowHairIndy.com right now. We Grow Hair Indy has the multi-unit hair grafting hair transplant. That was the procedure that was best for me. Their easy 30-minute PRP and laser treatments fit into any man or woman's schedule. Find out which procedure is right for you. Call 317-522-2995 for your free hair and scalp evaluation.
I'm Rick DeMolin, former professional football player. I got my hair back.
Hey, Barry Krause, #1 draft pick. I got my hair back.
Join me and thousands of others and get your hair back. Call 317-522-2995 or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's 317-522-2995. This year, get your hair back. Get your confidence back.
Let Bill Estes put you behind the wheel of the powerhouse brands that define American toughness. Ford, Chevy, Ram, and GMC.
Get 2.9% APR for 72 months on all GMC Sierra 1500s, plus $2,000 customer cash on 6.2-liter Sierra Denali's.
Unleash the power of the road with Bill Estes Trucks. Find the location near you and see their inventory at BillEstesTrucks.com.
Financing for well-qualified buyers. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. See dealer for details.
Did you know if you have water, storm, or fire damage, the first step is on you? Yikes. It's your responsibility to mitigate damages. Mitigate? Yeah, that's a fancy word for call Michaelis. They'll take it from there, from boarding up, cleaning up, and fixing up, to getting you squared up with your insurance company, which is a whole other mess you can avoid. Make it Michaelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. April showers can bring plumbing downers. Don't get caught in a flood this spring. Make sure your sump pump is working properly to avoid any damage. A sump pump is vital to protecting your home from heavy rains. During the month of April, my friends at Hope Plumbing will buy back your old sump pump for $300 with the purchase of an upgraded sump pump and a new battery backup system. Call Hope Plumbing today or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com.
Do you need air conditioning service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust, like B&W Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning? Find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Awful tweets, the ones that no one ever deletes. Awful tweets on the Tony Kinnett Show.
On 93 WIBC.
Welcome to Awful Tweets, where Jerry Lopez, Indy Spanglish over on Twitter X, and we take the worst social media posts that you send us over at the Tony Kinnett, and we absolutely destroy those live here on the air for your brutal entertainment. Jerry, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you doing today?
Absolutely stellar. So you know how this works. I feed you some of the tweets that we have been sent, and then you tell me why this social media post, this tweet, was a real stinker. Let's get started. This is from The Hill. It says, prosecutors accused Amy Harris of stealing the president's daughter's diary in September 2020. The diary contained highly personal entries, as well as tax records, a cell phone, and family photographs, according to the DOJ. Why is this one an awful tweet?
So we have a little update to this awful tweet, I guess. The lady who was arrested for that, Amy Harris, she was actually sentenced to a month in prison for what they're calling stealing and selling Ashley Biden's diary. Now, I think it's an awful tweet because it completely blows away anything that was in the diary. Now let's talk about the diary. Now that we've confirmed that this was hers, because somebody just got prosecuted, right? Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about what's in the diary. And there's some really disturbing stuff in there that's noted by Ashley. Let's talk about that.
So what's some of this awful stuff that's in this diary that someone was just sent to prison for selling?
So Ashley Biden, I think, in that diary allegedly questioned if she was molested, right? She talked about taking showers with her father and just
her father, the
like
president of the United States.
The president. Yeah. When she was at an age that she felt uncomfortable with it. So she noted in her diary that she felt uncomfortable with that.
So it's not like
right?
just, like bathing
of
your kid when they're like a baby or like a young toddler, like when she's old enough to say this is weird and wrong. I thought believe all women was supposed to be the thing. Huh.
Yeah. And as a dad of 4 daughters, that's real. Like, I know when that time comes when it's like, okay, now we shut the door and you do it yourself. Right.
Yeah.
That's well before what she's talking about.
Absolutely. Very weird stuff here. Well, maybe you need some summer workout tips here. So this is from the Daily Loud. They say Lizzo, Lizzo, she reveals 3 exercises to get your, quote, summer body, end quote.
That Lizzo has a workout plan? like Lizzo is literally the eclipse we just saw. She walks around in totality all the time, right? Before she starts giving me any workout plans, I need proof of concept.
It's like asking...
Okay, she's 5'10", weighs over 300 pounds, Tony. She should not be telling me what I need to do.
That's like asking Nigel on tips for coming into work. All right. Here's
the worst part about it. She recently got in trouble for sexually harassing her dancers, allegedly. Some really crazy stuff there too.
They must not have been following her tips for a summer body.
Yeah. Oh no.
All right, this one is from Hallie. She's talking about full totality, lasts about 3 minutes. She's posting pictures of the eclipse like a lot of people did. And then this is from an individual below who's got a watermelon and so super progressive. They say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but the Navajo people are asking that you post warnings before posting eclipse pictures, as it disrupts their prayers and rituals, by the way. They can't see the moon right now. Heart.
I mean, are Navajo on a Aaron Rodgers complete darkness quest, or they just can't look up? Or how does it, as a Native American, Tony, can you help me out with this one?
So, unfortunately, for the record, Cherokee are very different than the Navajo. But I can confirm that if I don't want to see the moon, I don't log on social
right?
media. People post pictures of the moon when it's not the eclipse. Did you know? Like, there are pictures of the moon all the time.
Yeah.
Ton of children's literature about the moon. I'm pretty sure that, like, the moon's not only visible in the sky when the eclipse is up. Trigger warning people are just super special. All right, speaking of trigger warnings here. This is from the New York Times about O.J. Simpson. So they noted that he ran football fame on the field and made fortunes in movies, but his world was ruined after he was charged with killing his former wife and her friend. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so complete disclosure, I just got back from my refrigerator and the juice is expired. It expired yesterday. But what do you mean his life was ruined? You know what I mean? Like, he ruined his own life.
You know whose world was ruined? Like the women that he killed.
There you go. How about Goldman, right? The guy, too.
It's
absolutely. There were a lot of people whose lives he ruined. Hell, we only know is it Kato Kalin? We only know of him because of O.J. Simpson.
Right. Absolutely. And you it never fails when it comes to the New York Times. And we got another O.J. Simpson tweet. Obviously, I don't think you need to tell me why this one is super duper terrible here. But it says, rest in peace, O.J. Simpson. This is from PFT commenter. He says, heaven just got an outstanding running back.
Oh, I got something for this. So Jose Canseco, the baseball player, quote tweeted this and cuts the guy out. PFT commenter came back and said, so we have some online beef right now between Jose Canseco and PFT commenter, and they're actually saying let's fight in the boxing ring over this.
I would. I think so. That kind of stuff is just beyond disgusting.
Yeah, I'll retweet that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look at Indy Spanglish. I'll retweet it here in a sec.
That sounds like a plan. You get in the boxing ring with him, man. Knock his teeth out. Well, Ellie Mistel, who is an activist out in New York City, there was a report that realistically, it actually appears, according to a New York Times polls, that a lot of groups, traditionally minority demographics in this country, are moving slightly towards Republicans. Not as much, as perhaps Republicans would like, but they are starting to move to the right. And Ellie Mistel comments and says, once again, the problem is not black people or Hispanics or Ice Cube. Interesting. Moving towards Trump. The problem is white people. The problem is always white people. Do you even know what he means? Or she means? Or it means?
Yeah. Yeah, I have no clue because it's almost like they debated themselves in two sentences. That's what it looked like, right? I think minorities are moving to the right far more than any of these polls say, because how many people are willing to speak out and actually admit that to a pollster, right? So This is still only a fragment of the group. There are multiple minorities that I talk about right now that are going staunch Republican, Trump supporters because of the immigrant crisis, and they're seeing what's happening in a lot of these cities, and that's really affecting the black community specifically. We're not affected by the immigrant crisis in Hamilton County, dude. Yeah, it's not really a big thing out here, but go to the center of Indianapolis in the black and brown communities, and that's what they're seeing there. I'm not surprised.
On awful tweets with the only Jerry Lopez. This next one is dear to my heart. I mentioned this at least vaguely in the last segment here. The Heritage Foundation has a policy that we have endorsed, which would end basically giving illegal immigrants a free ride at the expense of the taxpayer in public education, at least until many of our students who are already struggling have the resources that they need. And so this is from one of these left-leaning academics. Oh, so brave, so wonderful, so incredible. She says, first, they came for the trans students, and I did not speak up because I was not trans. Then they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak up because I was not an immigrant. Then they came for me, and there was nobody left to speak up. Oh, doesn't that just pull at your heartstrings?
I mean, it does, except for this Karen's the one that's going after everybody. So she's the attacker that she speaks of.
This is a play off of a poem about the Holocaust. So, nothing like comparing.
Isn't this what the lady that was on Mandalorian, I forget her name, she was a UFC fighter. She got booted off of X for the same kind of deal. She posted about the Holocaust Nazi thing, and that's when she had to fall out with Disney. I think it was almost the exact same kind of tweet.
The original poem is, first they came for the communists and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a commie. Then they came for the socialist. I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I didn't speak out. They came for the Jews. I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew. And so basically it's talking about how the Nazis like slowly encroached on everyone. I'm sorry, but not wanting to mutilate kids' genitals is not being a Nazi. I'm so sorry. No. Also, not giving taxpayer money to individuals who aren't citizens. Again, can we just have one day where the left does not lose their minds and claim anyone at all who disagrees with them is a super duper, extra duper, super Nazi? Just one of those days.
What? Can you tell me what day of visibility this is? Because there's always one, right? I guess trans people disappeared on Monday because Sunday was Trans Day of Visibility. So now they're all just gone, right?
Again, and the entire policy of giving taxpayers' education resources to illegal immigrants actually increases the disparagement, actually increases the disadvantage for inner city students, which isn't that the whole thing the left was trying to point on, was that black students had it really bad in American education? So like, it's the classic white progressive woman exchanging one prop for another when it becomes fashionable. We had black students, now we throw those away. Now it's time for trans immigrant students.
But name the last time the left did something that actually helped the brown people, right? Like they say, well, we're going to start the welfare state. We're going to start the welfare state to help you guys specifically. And now it's crippled the black community.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
we're going to have to get back to you on any examples in that. So as for this segment, Jerry Lopez, a stellar segment of awful tweets. You can send those over to us at TonyKinnett.com/contact. Send them right over. And I will pick the worst ones because I like making Jerry suffer. As you can hear, he's suffering quite a bit right now.
You do it every week, and I look forward to it every week.
Jerry, thanks for hopping.
I'm a glutton for punishment, Tony.
We will be back in just a minute to talk about why it's the end of the world when kids have fun. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
Mario Andretti, Tony Kanaan, and Dario Franchitti, champions who have shared their stories at Tales from the Track. This May, WIBC welcomes Indianapolis 500 winner and 5-time IndyCar champion Scott Dixon to share his stories from the greatest track in racing. Monday, May 20th, Scott joins you and Hammer and Nigel for an evening of food, fun, and Tales from the Track. Brought to you by Relay Indiana. Tickets are available now at WIBC.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
April is here, and with the springtime weather, it's important to have quality windows. If yours won't open to let the fresh air in, won't seal tight to keep out the pollen and the bugs, or have been leaking water all winter, then it's time you talk to the experts at Window Nation. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you'll get 2 windows free. There's no limit on how much you could save. Plus, you could save even more with no interest or payments for 24 months. Window Nation's windows come with a lifetime warranty and can be installed in 1 day or less. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Don't miss out on your chance to afford quality windows with this unlimited buy 2, get 2 free plus 0 interest or payments for 24 months. You cannot afford to wait. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Schedule your free in-home estimate. Window Nation, tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
How would you like to get a 13% bonus when you invest your money? And not only do you get a 13% bonus, you'll also get an annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Discover how you can get an upfront 13% bonus plus a competitive annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years. Learn more from the retirement guy we trust, Bill Demery in Indy. Just call 317-932-9912.
This is such a no-brainer for me. You get an upfront 13% bonus plus a competitive annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years. And it's backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world.
So call Bill now at 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912.
Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
For a job done right the first time and every time, remember Chapman Heating. For all your plumbing, air conditioning, heating, and now drain needs, remember the man for all seasons, chapmanheating.com.
Don't stress about plumbing repairs. Call LD Smith for honest advice and a free second opinion on any estimate.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Advent is coming soon to Indianapolis and accepting appointments now at adventknows.com.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
The Phone Ready quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics will help you decide if you and your child are ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz.
Indy's leader in patio installation is now offering a new driveway package. Schedule a free estimate today at indydecorativeconcrete.com. That's indydecorativeconcrete.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
So, I have to be quite frank with you guys. There are a few outlets that I like. There are some left-leaning outlets that I read and that I think do a pretty decent job of like trying to hide the fact that they're like grossly twisting things to the left. And then there are a few right-wing outlets that I read that, because I agree with them politically, usually I look more for groups that state the facts specifically and then give their analysis because, I know the analysis is coming. And then there are a few outlets that I enjoy because they're, more nonpartisan. The Center Square would be one of them. The New York Post is also one that had, for a few years there, been pretty okay. I mean, they reported on things on the right. They reported on things on the left. They kind of just opened things out. The New York Post, as John Mulaney very much loved to say, it was basically like some old woman smoking a menthol in a parking garage giving you the news. And that's, I kind of like that. But the last couple of weeks, they've just stunk. The articles are just stupid, talking about like whether Gene Hackman is wearing the same outfit weeks in a row. The dude's in his 90s. But the latest stupid article from the New York Post is that police departments are warning that the high school senior assassin game could turn deadly. Bum bum. And then it's an entire article talking about how terrible it is. Now, Allison, you have never played Senior Assassin. That's true, right?
Correct. I didn't really hear about this thing till after I graduated high school.
All right. So we played this when I was in high school, and I know that it had been around at least 5 or 10 years before me because it was in the yearbooks. Like, it was actually like a small thing in the Candids page. I remember talking with some of the older students about back when I was in like junior high and elementary school. The idea of Senior Assassin, and there's a lot of different variations, is that you would bring to school or around town, if you're in like a small town or whatever, you would bring around a water gun or a Nerf gun, these brightly plastic pieces of toys. And your goal would be to go up at maybe the junior class versus senior class, and you would try to shoot the senior with water gun. You try to catch them unawares. And really what it was it was kind of a large game of tag, and it was a blast. And we played it when I was in high school. We actually played juniors versus seniors. And there are other different variations of this, and the police are worried now. They're terrified. They say, how could you do something like this? Don't you guys know that guns are dangerous? Allison, have you ever owned a water gun?
Yes.
Describe what a water gun looks like for me here.
Well, it's usually like a little handheld, and it's probably brightly colored and
brightly colored. Like, is it all
plastic.
the same brightly color, or like what colors are we talking about here?
Like neon colors, like
neon yellow,
green, yellow, orange.
Is it shaped like a real gun? Usually.
I would hope not.
No. Usually, have you seen the Super Soaker? It's like someone strapped a 2-liter to a garden hose with like a weird couple of popsicle sticks on the bottom. It's the Super Soaker. It doesn't look anything like a gun. And even if it did look like a gun, the way that they are shaped and colored, they are clearly not guns. And I posted about this on social media, and I'm like, this is stupid. You guys are going to ruin it. Kids are just having fun. It's the most harmless way on earth. And there are people actually in the comments that are complaining at me because they're like, well, what if some old guy gets really scared and he pulls his concealed carry weapon on him? Then he shouldn't be concealed carrying. If you have lost your mental faculties and you cannot tell that something is a brightly colored Nerf gun that looks like some kind of alien contraption, then you shouldn't be concealed carrying at all. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying governmental regulation. I just think, hey, look, you know how we take away, when someone gets old, we take away their driver's license? There needs to be an age where you can't tell if there's a threat from the kid carrying the water balloon, then maybe you ought to put the Colt away. Maybe we just slide that 1911 into the drawer and lock it. Because there's a lot of other great games in high school that are harmless as well. Mr. President, you ever heard of Mr. President?
No.
Mr. President is great, and we almost hurt ourselves this way, but not like in a police need to get involved way. Mr. President works like this. You're standing around with a group of friends, and just out of nowhere, one of you will touch your hand to your ear like you're a secret agent. You're getting some kind of a message. You're in the Secret Service. And then it's like nose goes. Other people will notice, and they'll start to also put their hands to their ears. And whoever the last person is not to put their hand to their ear is the one who gets tackled by everyone else yelling, Mr. President. Like, Mr. President, get down! Like you're saving him from, being assassinated. So those are the kinds of games that we played. They were horribly unsafe, but boy, were they fun. And I'm sorry, if you have an issue with kids running around playing harmless games, like if they're putting fruit in the trophy case, which I absolutely never did at Heritage Hall in Muncie. I never put oranges or bananas on the trophies in the trophy case. Like, guys, we have real issues to worry about. And don't get me wrong, I was a strict teacher. I yelled at more than my fair share of kids. I wrote detentions like I was a poet. I mean, just left and right center. It was beautiful. But when kids were just playing, kids run into the classroom, they're kind of pushing and shoving each other around, and they're clearly having fun. Don't be that guy. Crotchety old curmudgeon going, hey, why don't you kids sit down and suffer for a while like I did? When you know darn well there are pictures of you in your yearbook acting stupid or driving like an idiot through the countryside or whatever else kids have done since nigh on immemorial. So the moral of the story is, ladies and gentlemen, maybe we don't need to have like cleaning product warning label police announcements just because someone's terrified Johnny Super Soaker might be drawn in public. Oh my gosh. This has been another episode here on 93 WIBC. We'll be back tomorrow to close out the week with Mail Time. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Brett Kitchen, best-selling author, executive producer, and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In this film, we